On today's episode of Cooking with Crime, we'll be discussing Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal. When Dahmer was only 12 years old was when his fascination with dead things and preserving their bones really took off. Dahmer would pick up roadkill he found on the side of the road and bring it back to his house and to his shed, where he'd put the corpse in a chemical that produced bare bones. In 1978, Dahmer had his first victim, where he would strangle and then beat to death with a barbell before dismembering and disposing of his body in the trash. Dahmer wouldn't kill again for another 9 years. In 1979, Dahmer's dad had enough of his lazy ass and forced him to go to the U.S. Army, where he was a combat medic. Dahmer had access to the pharmacy and would steal a drug called Halcyon to treat insomnia, where he would drug his fellow servicemen and proceed to rape them for 17 months. Dahmer was later discharged with honorable discharge in 1981 for his alcohol abuse. In 1987 is when his acts of terror really amped up. He'd go on to kill 16 more victims, drilling holes into their skulls and pouring acid into the drilled holes, trying to make them into sex zombies. When his projects would fail, he would perform acts of necrophilia before dismembering their bodies and disposing of them into buckets of acid and even making a meal out of their hearts. In 1991, he was finally caught after luring a man into his apartment who later escaped and told police officers what had happened to him. When police officers arrived at Dahmer's apartment, they found an array of photos of his victims, a decapitated head in his fridge, a barrel of human remains in acid, and pots of cooking with human remains in them. In February of 1992, Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms, where Dahmer will only serve 2 years of his sentence before getting beat to death with a barbell in 1994. Beat to death with a barbell, just like his very first victim.